It's a still, quiet night. The kind of night where everything feels frozen in time and the only sound is the soft hum of the ceiling fan. The protagonist is lying in bed, the weight of the day already starting to fade into sleep. The house is silent, almost unnaturally so, as though the world outside has stopped. Then, suddenly, a phone vibrates on the nightstand, its buzz cutting through the stillness like a sharp blade. The screen flashes in the dim light, casting a faint glow that seems out of place in the quiet room. It's a text message, but it's from someone the protagonist doesn't expect to hear from at this hour. The hand hesitates. Hovering above the phone, fingers trembling slightly as though the decision to check it could change everything. The cold steel of the phone feels unnervingly foreign in their hand, contrasting with the warmth of the bed, a reminder of how unsettling this moment truly is. The buzzing phone is louder now, echoing in the protagonist's ears, the sound gnawing at them, growing more intense. Slowly they reach for it, unsure of what to expect, but dreading it nonetheless, as the message opens. Their eyes scan the words, and a cold wave of unease crashes over them. The conversation in front of them doesn't add up, doesn't make sense. Why is this person texting me at this hour? The questions begin to pile up, one after the other, but they don't find answers, only confusion. The room seems to grow colder, despite the stillness of the air. The protagonist's thoughts race, but their mind can't seem to catch up to what they're seeing. It's a moment of deep shock, one where everything seems to freeze. The protagonist can't process it. Is this real? They wonder, unable to believe what they're reading. The silence of the house has become deafening, and in that brief moment, feels like the very ground beneath them is cracking open, swallowing them whole. This can't be happening. The words echo in their mind as they stare at the phone, too stunned to move, too stunned to do anything but ask themselves, is this real? The protagonist leans back in their chair, the weight of the phone still heavy. In their hand, their mind drifts back, unable to help itself, to the years they've spent with her, to the love they once shared. There were so many small moments, so many little things that, in hindsight, felt so much more significant. The warmth of a Sunday morning. Coffee brewing in the kitchen as sunlight filtered through the windows, the soft murmur of her voice as she leaned in to kiss them good morning. It was the little things, the way her hand fit perfectly in theirs. How they would share smiles over nothing and everything at once. It was the warmth of their shared meals, their laughter echoing around. Their home as they spent nights together, talking about everything and nothing. And then there was their best friend. He had been in the picture for years, 15 to be exact. They'd met in college, both strangers in a new city, both stumbling through life together. The bond formed quickly, brotherhood forged from late-night talks, adventures, and shared experiences. He was family, and the protagonist had always believed that nothing could ever come between them. They trusted him. He was always there through every major life event, every moment of triumph and failure. They had laughed, fought, and celebrated together. The three of them had become inseparable, like a tight-knit trio that no one could break. As they sat in the quiet of their home, the protagonist couldn't help but smile at the memories of vacations they had taken together. There had been moments on a beach, sun-kissed skin, sand between their toes. They had taken countless pictures, each one frozen in time, each moment filled with joy and promise. Back then, everything felt perfect. The kind of perfection that only came with the belief that nothing could ever shatter it. The protagonist thought to themselves, we were happy, weren't we? Their heart still aches at the thought of how it all seemed so solid, so real. They had never imagined something like this could happen to them. They never thought it was even possible. That their trust could be broken by the very people they loved and trusted the most. How could something so perfect fall apart so quickly? They wondered. The memories felt almost like a cruel joke now, a stark contrast to the cold reality of what they were facing. And then, in the silence, the words come again, but this time with a weight they hadn't anticipated. I never thought something like this could happen to me. The first signs of something being wrong were so small that at first, the protagonist didn't think much of them. It started with the late nights. She would stay up long after he went to bed, tapping away at her phone or lost in the glow of the television. At first, it seemed harmless. Just another late night, nothing out of the ordinary. But as the days went by, the late nights became more frequent, and the mornings, once filled with warmth and laughter, became quieter. She was more distant, her eyes less focused on him, her touch less affectionate. It wasn't a drastic change, but it was enough to make him feel like something was slipping away. Like sand through his fingers, he couldn't put his finger on it at first. Maybe it was just stress, or the busyness of life creeping in. But there was an undercurrent to it, something that made him uneasy. The dinners they used to share, long talks about their day, became routine, more like tasks than moments of connection. He'd catch her glancing at her phone, mid-conversation, the distraction that made him feel less important, less seen. The way she avoided eye contact when he asked about her day, the way her responses became more robotic, less detailed. It was as if she was no longer fully present. And every time he mentioned plans or simple moments, there was always an excuse. A phone call to take, work to finish, somewhere she needed to be. And then there was the best friend. He had always been around, the three of them inseparable. But now, there were moments when the protagonist would catch her texting him late into the night, the glow of the phone flickering just before she slipped it under the covers. He noticed the little things, how her smile seemed warmer when he walked into the room, how her laughter sounded different when they were together. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but the protagonist couldn't ignore it anymore. There were messages on her phone, short and innocent at first glance, but there was something in the way she hid them, in the way she closed the screen too quickly. His mind began to race, the seed of doubt planted, and he couldn't help but ask himself, am I imagining things, or is something wrong? It was as if a veil had been lifted, and for the first time he could see the cracks in their once perfect world. He didn't act on it, didn't say anything. The doubt gnawed at him. Every time she wasn't around, he'd find himself wondering. Every time she smiled at the best friend a little too warmly, he'd feel his stomach tighten. But he kept telling himself it was nothing. It had to be nothing, right? Maybe it's just me. But deep down, he knew something had shifted, something that couldn't be ignored for much longer. The phone buzzes again. It's a familiar sound now, one that has been causing a quiet storm in the protagonist's mind. Tonight, though, it's different. The room is eerily still, and for a split second, the protagonist hesitates. A part of them already knows what's coming. The phone rests on the coffee table, its glow faint in the dimly lit living room. He watches it vibrate, his heart pounding in his chest. The buzzing stops, and an unsettling silence follows. Like the calm before a storm, the protagonist stands, his hands shaking as he picks up the phone. It's a message, a simple notification, but it's from her. It's the same way she's always texted him, but this time something is different. He unlocks the phone, his fingers moving mechanically, almost as if he's detached from the situation, unable to fully process what he's about to uncover. As the messages load, his breath catches in his throat. There, it is clear as day. A thread of texts between his wife and his best friend. The words are intimate, the tone unmistakable, a language only meant for lovers. He blinks rapidly, trying to make sense of the letters on the screen, but the world around him begins to blur. The messages are undeniable. There's no hiding it, no explanation that can soften the blow. His hands tremble violently as he scrolls through more exchanges. It's a word like a knife to the heart. The love, the affection, the hidden moments, shared in the dark, all laid bare in front of him. How could you do this to me? The thought echoes in his mind, and suddenly, nothing feels real anymore. The house feels like a stranger's, and the silence is deafening. A whirlwind of confusion and disbelief spins through his mind. How could this happen? He keeps asking himself over and over, but the answers don't come. The screen flashes with one last message, a line that seals it all. His best friend's name, her words, the confession. It's all too much. He can't breathe. The phone slips from his hand, falling onto the floor with a soft thud. For a moment, everything goes silent. The protagonist stands frozen, his face pale, his eyes wide with shock, as if he's been struck dumb by the force of what he's just seen. The room closes in on him, the walls pressing against his chest, and for a long moment, time seems to stop. His mind races, but no thoughts make sense. The trust he'd built for years, the love that felt so solid, has been shattered in an instant. The betrayal is too much to comprehend. He stumbles back, leaning against the wall for support, and the words keep repeating in his head. How could you do this to me? The phone lies forgotten on the floor, a silent witness to the storm that has just torn through the protagonist's world. They don't remember moving, but somehow they're standing. Their legs weak beneath them. The shock is too much. Their hands tremble at their sides, and they walk aimlessly through the house, as if searching for something familiar to cling to. But everything is strange now. The rooms that once held laughter and shared moments feel cold, their warmth long gone. The walls that had once embraced their life together now seem like a foreign place. Each step echoes through the empty house, amplifying the weight of the silence that has settled in. There's no anger yet, no tears. It's as if every emotion has been sucked out of the protagonist, leaving behind only a hollow emptiness. The disbelief still clings to them, each thought more fragmented than the last. Was everything a lie? They ask themselves over and over, but the words don't have answers. The images of the life they built together, the smiles, the quiet conversations, the promises are now shattered, broken pieces that they can't piece back together. Was I living in a fantasy? The question ricochets in their mind like a drumbeat, each repetition driving them further into a fog of confusion. The protagonist reaches the kitchen, and their eyes linger on the counter where they used to prepare dinner together. There's a cold cup of coffee that she must have left earlier, untouched. The smell of it still lingers in the air, but it's not the same now. It's just another reminder of the life they once shared, a life that feels more and more like a distant dream. Their reflection in the window catches them off, Gardy's hollow, face pale. They barely recognize themselves. The man in the mirror looks lost, as if they've been untethered from everything they once knew. As they walk through the house, the emptiness becomes louder.
Oh.
It's not just the physical space that feels void of life, but their own sense of identity. Who are they without her? Who are they without the best friend? There's a crushing realization that the foundation they thought was solid is nothing but sand. The world, once full of warmth and connection, now feels cold and distant, as though it's moving forward without them. How could I have been so blind? The thought drifts through their mind, but there's no anger to it, just the quiet, aching emptiness. They can't quite process what has happened, and for the moment they don't even know how to begin to make sense of it all. The house, once a symbol of their love, has become a hollow shell. And the protagonist feels more alone now than they ever thought possible, surrounded by memories of a life that no longer feels real. The house feels even more suffocating now. Every room, every corner, every empty space feels like it's closing. The protagonist retreats to the bathroom, seeking solitude, but there's no escape. The cold tile beneath their bare feet does nothing to numb the overwhelming surge of pain. Their hands tremble as they rest them on the sink, staring into the mirror, but their reflection only adds to the crushing weight. The person in the mirror is a stranger, a broken shell of who they used to be. The realization hits them harder than anything else. There's no one left, no one to lean on, no one to turn to. The silence is deafening, and the loneliness is suffocating. Without warning, the tears come silent and steady at first, then more intense. They crumple to the floor, pulling their knees to their chest, head in their hands, as the sobs rack their body. The tears fall without sound, no wailing or loud cries, just the quiet. Desperate release of a heart shattered beyond repair. The rawness of the pain is almost too much to bear, and yet they can't stop. Every wave of emotion cuts deeper than the last until it feels as though they're drowning in it. The weight of betrayal, the one person they trusted, the one person who should have loved them the most, has fractured them in ways they never imagined. I thought we were everything to each other, they think, but it doesn't make sense anymore. That connection, that bond, now feels like a cruel joke. How could they have been so wrong about everything? About her, about him. Now I'm nothing. The thought is like a final blow, and for a moment, They can't tell where the pain ends and the numbness begins. The world outside doesn't matter anymore. The house, once their home, is a cage, and they are alone. Time doesn't move the same way anymore. The hours blur together, and everything feels like it's happening from a distance. The numbness begins to settle in, spreading through their chest and limbs, leaving them empty and cold. They curl up on the couch, staring at the wall, eyes unfocused. There's no energy to do anything, no will to fight. All they can do is feel the weight of the isolation, like a heavy blanket pressing them into the cushions. They know they should get up, should do something, but they can't. They can't find the strength to move, to act. The tears have slowed, but the emptiness hasn't lifted. It lingers in the pit of their stomach, twisting and turning with every breath. There's no fight left in them, no spark of life to reignite. All they can do is exist in this moment, moan, broken, alone. The protagonist stumbles back into the house, the weight of the world pressing down on their chest with every step. The door clicks shut behind them, and for a moment there's only silence. No laughter, no conversation, just the hollow sound of their own footsteps echoing through the empty hallway. The air feels different now, colder, heavier, as though it's been drained of all warmth and comfort. The house that once felt like home now seems like a shell, vacant, sterile, and unfamiliar. They walk slowly through the rooms, their gaze sweeping over familiar spaces. The kitchen is untouched, the dishes still on the counter from earlier, an unspoken reminder of the life they shared. The bed in the bedroom lies cold and empty, the sheets undisturbed as if she's never been there at all. Absence is suffocating, like the house itself is holding its breath. It's strange how something so full of life can feel so desolate in an instant. Asterisk as they stand there. The reality of the situation begins to settle in. This isn't a dream. This isn't something that will be fixed with time. It's real, and it's final. The walls, once filled with love, are now just cold structures, silently witnessing the destruction of everything they thought was solid. The protagonist sits down on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. They want to scream, want to shout, and demand answers, but there's nothing left inside them. What am I supposed to do now? The question floats into the air, but it hangs there unanswered, lost in the stillness. The silence feels oppressive, pressing against them from all sides. The realization is slow, like the gradual sinking of a ship. They're sinking, drowning in the weight of the betrayal, in the knowledge that everything they had, everything they believed in, is gone. The house, once filled with shared moments and memories, now stands as a barren monument to a life they no longer recognize. The isolation is suffocating. Protagonists could reach out to family or friends, but they feel too distant now. The trust they once had in everyone, even in themselves, has been eroded. They are alone in a house that feels both too big and too small, with nothing but their own thoughts to keep them company. The echoes of laughter, of love, are fading. All that's left is the overwhelming emptiness, a void they can't fill, a reality they can't escape. The protagonist stands in front of them. They're the wife or the best friend, and the air between them is thick with tension. The room feels charged, the silence louder than any words could be. Their breath comes in short, shallow bursts as they try to steady themselves. But every inch of their body trembles with the weight of what they need to say. Their eyes lock. With hers, or with his, both faces now strained, showing the cracks of what was once a solid connection. The hurt is palpable, a sharpness in their gaze that neither of them can deny. There's no need for preamble. The protagonist's voice, usually calm and composed, now cracks with frustration. How could you do this to me? It's a simple question, but it's more than just the words. It's the unraveling of everything they thought they knew. The question hangs in the air, raw and unrelenting. And the protagonist's heart races as they wait for an answer that they already know won't come. They've been waiting for this moment, dreading it, but now that it's here, it feels hollow empty. The wife, or the best friend, stammers. Their words are fragile, like they're trying to find a way to explain something that has no explanation. They offer excuses, or worse, they say nothing at all. The protagonist listens, but each word feels like a slap. A reminder that this person they trusted above all others, has betrayed them in the most unimaginable way. The excuses fall flat. The explanations ring hollow. It's not enough, and it never will be. Nothing can erase the damage that's been done. Nothing can fix the gaping wound left in their heart. The frustration rises like a wave, crashing over them with such force that they can't hold it back anymore. You never thought I'd find out, did you? The words explode from their mouth, sharp and bitter, like acid burning through the silence. The rawness in their voice is palpable, hurt, anger, confusional, swirling together in a storm they can no longer control. The betrayal has bubbled over. Now the protagonist is left to face the wreckage. This isn't a confrontation for resolution. It's for release. They don't want answers anymore. Not really. The hurt is too deep, too ingrained. They just need to say it, to let it out, to give a voice to the anger and the disbelief that has been building up inside them for days. The protagonist feels the weight of every second of their relationship. The trust they thought was unshakable, now reduced to dust. And as they stand there, the camera focuses on their face and the hurt that lingers, on the confusion that still burns in their eyes, and on the overwhelming frustration that they can't yet escape. The days pass, each one heavier than the last, but gradually, the weight begins to feel a little more bearable. It's a slow process, one that feels almost imperceptible at first. The protagonist doesn't notice it right away, but over time, they begin to shift. The raw pain doesn't fade entirely, but it becomes more manageable, less suffocating. They start small. The mornings are no longer just a blur of misery. Slowly, they rise earlier, find the strength to make themselves coffee, to do anything other than sit in the emptiness. They start working out again, pushing their body to move, to release the tension that is built up in their chest. The physical exertion helps the exhaustion from a good run. The burn in their muscles reminds them that they are still capable of strength. It's not about forgetting what happened, but about rediscovering what it feels like to take control of their own life again. They don't do it for anyone else, just for themselves. A small act of defiance against the pain, a way to show that they're still standing, still fighting. Time spent with friends and family becomes a lifeline. It's not easy at first. They're used to being alone, used to the silence, but slowly, they begin to open up. They share stories, laugh again, even if the laughter feels forced at first. But it's progress. It's a reminder that they are loved, that they still matter. The relationships that have survived the storm offer comfort, a small thread of connection to a life that doesn't feel like it's been shattered. The protagonist also starts therapy, each session peeling back layers of the hurt, of the confusion, of the brokenness that once consumed them. It's a painful process, sometimes more exhausting than they anticipated, but it's necessary. The words they speak in those sessions begin to untangle the mess inside, slowly but surely. They begin to understand that healing is not linear. Some days are better than others, but every small step forward is a victory. In quiet moments of reflection, the protagonist thinks, I can't change the past, but I can rebuild my future. The internal dialogue shifts. It goes from why me to what now. They can't undo what's been done, can't erase the betrayal, but they can choose what comes next. They can rebuild. And with each passing day, they make the choice to do just that. It's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but slowly, the protagonist begins to reclaim their life, one small piece at a time. The strength they thought they had lost is beginning to return, and while it's fragile and still in progress, it's there. The sun is setting, casting a soft golden light over the horizon. The protagonist stands on the edge of a cliff, the wind gently brushing against their face, feeling both calming and invigorating. There's a quiet moment, one of stillness, where the world seems to pause. The storm within them has passed, but its effects still linger. The scars remain, but so does the peace that follows healing. As the sky deepens into shades of pink and purple, they take a deep breath, feeling the weight of everything they've endured. In their mind, they write a letter one they'll never send. It's a letter to the past, to the people who hurt them, to the version of themselves that believed everything was perfect. "I'm sorry it had to happen this way," they imagine writing. "I never expected it. I never thought I'd be here, looking back at what we were. But I'm learning. I'm learning to let go." The words float in the silence, not for anyone else to hear, but for their own soul to absorb. Looking at the sun sinking. Below the horizon, they reflect on everything they've been through. The hurt, betrayal, the confusion, and everything they've learned along the way. It was a painful journey, one they would never have chosen, but it shaped them in ways they never expected. They've learned the importance of trust, but also the strength of self-worth, the necessity of moving forward, no matter how heavy the heart. "I'm not the same person anymore. That's okay," they think to themselves, a quiet acceptance filling the space where pain once lived. The change isn't immediate, and it's not perfect, but it's real. They've begun to understand that the betrayal doesn't define them. It was a chapter, one they've closed. But it doesn't control the story as the last light fades from the sky. They turn away from the edge, feeling the calm settle deep inside. There's no rush now, no pressure. They've found their peace. The past is behind them, and the future is still waiting, full of unknowns. Yes, but also full of possibilities.